Good morning. This is Jeff White with Life and Living Now, Versatile Fighting Arts, and I want to get together for another talk today. So let's kind of dive into it. Kind of adjusting my notes in here. Eventually I'll get around to talking without notes, but not quite there yet. I tend to wander. So I enjoy some of those talks where usually I'm accustomed when I get brought in some places in the past, I would just sit down and just share what was in my heart, and that was always the most impactful. But I did want to organize my thoughts, so let's kind of talk about something that's very, very important, and it's living by your personal values. And good questions, why it matters, and then how do I get started? But I think everybody gives some degree of agreement that values are important. We do see that, but we often really don't do a deep dive into clarifying our values, creating and understanding the hierarchy of our own personal values, and that can differ from person to person. It can differ from situation to situation, but you do want to be able to understand and know what are the values that you subscribe to, what are the values that are important to you, what are the values that you intend to live your life by, what values are aspirational. So when you look at it, the personal values, they're your guiding principles that shape our behavior. They influence our decisions. They define our sense of purpose in many cases. And when you have situations that arise, it is part of your moral compass. A situation arises and you can kind of go back through like on a library shelf. Well, here's my values. Which of these values do I apply into this situation? And it will help you to clarify and give you direction and give you focus. So it'll help provide directions in those times when there may be uncertainty or even conflict. So when we align our lives with our core values, then we experience this greater sense of satisfaction, this greater sense of fulfillment, and this greater sense of peace and also resilience. Because it does take courage and strength to walk day in and day out according to your values. It's easy sometimes to give in to the groupthink or to what the group's talking about. But does it align with your values? And if not, then you need to have the courage to stand up. And this is what this living your life by values and what this value clarification will help enable you to do. So, a couple of things looking at. Here's why living by your values is, I think, so crucial. One is authenticity. Probably the best reason for doing this is that you want to live authentically. You want to live from who you understand yourself to be at this point in time. And that conversation has several different levels. And if you have tracked with me on some of my teachings and some of the things that I share, we have roles that we play in our ego mind, and they're important to pay attention to. We want to have those roles, those thoughts to be aligned with our values. But that's not who we are. Who we are is much deeper. Who we are, if you look back to original face, original self, is we are spirit. We have a soul. We have mind and emotions that we use as tools to navigate in this world, and of course we have a body. We want to live from that deepest part of us and let that come forward. So we want to get rid of the clutter that is not authentically us, or recognize that this isn't really us. This may be a role, these are thoughts. We want to get back to that original part of us, the deepest part of us, and then let that deeper part inform our decisions, inform our values, inform our thoughts. So we want to be able to be authentic, cohesive is a good word between the deepest parts of ourselves and the side that we present to the world. We also, values clarification and living by our personal values gives guidance. It acts as a roadmap. It helps you navigate difficult decisions, helps you stay on course. It gives you purpose in many times that give meaning to your life because you are connecting your actions with your deeper beliefs. Another part, resilience, as I mentioned earlier. Strong values provide a solid foundation for your life. It gives you stability. It gives you those pillars that I have built my life on, those values, and I choose those values that are in my life. So it helps me to withstand and to rise above challenges. Integrity is a big one. So living your life by your values says it fosters this idea of honesty and trust. It builds stronger relationships with others. So how do we, so that's kind of the overview, and then the benefits of this, of course, continue with a greater sense of fulfillment. By aligning your actions with your values, it leads to a sense of achievement and a deep level of satisfaction. And this is not the sense of achievement or satisfaction that you get by running a race and winning or something like that. It's much deeper. It's much more pervasive, and you feel it in your core. It gives you better decision-making capabilities. Like I said, it just, I've been told at one point when somebody looked at me and goes, when you're presented with something, it's like you go through your mind, you pick out principles and values that apply to the situation, and that's what you enact. And I said, that's exactly what I do, is that, you've clarified your values, how you want to live your life, who you are, how you want to conduct your life, and that comes from the deepest part of you. And then I build from there. And so when things happen, I look and I see, okay, this aligns with this principle and this value, and I'm going to apply that. And when I don't do that, then it creates stress and it creates drama. If I'm out of line with my values, then I feel it. There's an old Christian term, being conviction. But you sense this, this dissonance within you. That you're lacking this the sense of cohesion, the sense of unity. You always have a separation. You created a wall somewhere within inside you, and so you want to be able to get rid of those. All right, living by your values will reduce stress. By knowing what you value will help you to prioritize and then manage your time effectively, which will help really reduce your stress and your burnout. Increases motivation. If you have value-driven goals that I want to improve the quality of people's lives, then how do you do that? And that has been my goal and my life's aim since an adult. It was actually part of the slogan, the motto for my business that I was a realtor for 30-something years, and it was improving the quality of life through real estate, and that's what it was. We were improving the quality of people's lives, and value-based living will do that. So when you have value-based goals and value-driven goals, it'll help you to prioritize, and you'll be able to see and understand with greater clarity. So it also gives you obviously more positive relationships. People know where you come from and they can trust you. All right, very, very important. So how do you clarify those values? So in clarifying personal values, it is really your first step. So how do you do that? One, reflect on past experiences. Think about moments where you felt truly happy, where you felt proud, where you felt fulfilled, you were in that zone. What values were being honored in those moments. Also, you can identify role models, and as I talked about, in kind of other videos, I read voraciously. I want to learn from other people. I don't put people up on pedestals. I don't care who they are. They could be the greatest statesman. I still understand. They're human. So I look at what they contributed, and I have always viewed it this way: is that when I'm reading, I want to know the person knows what they're talking about, but I can get a sense of that from what they've written. If I meet them in person, I find out that wow, they didn't give me the attention that I thought I deserved. Okay, I can let that go. Maybe they weren't nice. Maybe they they did something, and I'm not talking gross. They go out and kill somebody or they rob their store, but you find out they have foibles in their life. Well, everybody does. And I can look at myself, and I know the areas where I've given myself grace. And if I've given myself grace, I can give grace to others. Different subject, but I've benefited from second chances a lot, from a kind of wild and colorful youth. And I value those, and I pass that along. But you still want to identify role models and seek out people who you can aspire to copy certain traits. You don't have to aspire to be them, but look at the traits. What traits do they have? There's various ones that we kind of look at. I'm not necessarily religious in that sense, but Billy Graham, kept a persona that was always about integrity, and whether you believed his message or not, but you knew he was always going to be aligned with that. That's fantastic. All right, but you find people who can contribute to your thinking and to your knowledge, to your awareness, and then you want to prioritize those values. You want to make a list of those potential values and narrow it down. I suggest you kind of get to the top, maybe 5 to 10, no more than that resonate with you. You can Google and personal values list, and there's all kinds of values that are there. Do you value health, happiness, joy, love, kindness, truth, authenticity? Is strength a value to you? And then you want to be able to prioritize those. You want to create a hierarchy of those values. Which one is more important to you? Do I value truth over loyalty? Do I value loyalty over integrity? Do I value fulfillment over my health? Do I value it depends on what your values are. Do I value money? And if so, where does that come in? But it's really not money, it's what money represents, and it's the feelings you get from it. But you want to look at, start to prioritize and create this hierarchy. And also understand, we may employ a different hierarchy of values in my workplace as I do in my primary relationships. All right? They should not be tremendously different, but there might be different adjustments. But we base our decisions upon that. If health is a value that I ascribe to, and then I want to say, okay, am I aligning my life with healthful choices? Am I looking at the food that I take in, the amount of food that I take in, the quality of it? Do I look at taking care of my body? Am I exercising? Am I doing something that's fun that has activity with it? How's my mental health? How's my emotional health? Are we aligning with those values? And then I may say, well, okay, health, is a value. I can look at any other values they come through. Then you want to compare it. A simple way of doing this is you look at a list, you kind of narrow down to 5 to 10 that really resonate with you, and they can be things that you already know that you live by, or things that you wish to live by, and then you pick out 2 and say, okay, here's truth and here's loyalty, and which one is more important? And that causes you to think about the circumstances where one may up the other. You get to know yourself better. You get to understand your thought process. This is deeply beneficial. So do that, and then examine that, write them down, come up with your list of hierarchy of values and their hierarchy as you see them now, and they may change. It's always good to reassess because they'll change. Personally, I think about every 5 years we kind of evolve. At least I know in my life I can look back and I can see it's almost like every 5 years I have continued to evolve into not a completely different person, but somebody who was not the same person I was 5 years ago. So with this value clarification and living by your values, you can examine conflicts, reflect on times when you felt conflicted or uncomfortable. What values were being compromised? What values were you not expressing that you wanted to? Did you not express a value? Was somebody else trying to curtail or step on one of your values? You want to look at all that. Look at your actions. They will tell you where your values are. There are times, and unfortunately, most of the examples are somewhat negative. But if I look at my actions and I think, here's a value I know I live by. My actions, though, speak differently. You don't need to condemn yourself. You don't need to do anything other than take a good look at it and go, that didn't align. Remember, we're looking, as I spoke about before, we're looking as a witness in our life. So we want to develop this witness consciousness where I can look at the internal workings of my mind and my emotions and I can sit with them, but I can see them for clarity for what they are, without any reflection on judgment on me, because these are simply my thoughts. They are not me. I am the self. I am a wave who's part of an ocean. And these are my thoughts that I'm thinking, but I'm the thinker of those thoughts. So if I'm not thinking correctly, if my thinking has gotten skewed, well, I can look at it, now I can correct my thinking. And that's the process that I encourage you to take a look at. And you can take this as deep as you wish to go. Some of our beliefs we hold very strongly. We are taught from birth, we're taught from our religions, and sometimes they are taught to hate other people. Well, that's, we don't need, if we're hating other people, we're hating ourselves. We're all one at our deepest level. I may not like what somebody thinks, but that's different than who they are. I may not like how as they express themselves, but that's their own ignorance. That's their own sense of who they are. It's their own thoughts. It's not them. And we need to look at this. Now, practicing your values, all right, incredibly important. You've got to walk that walk. And you also have to forgive yourself when you mess up, because you're going to mess up. We all do. So we're all in this growth. We have to see, I am a work in progress. Now, I set my intention to work on this as deeply as I am able. And it's where I find personal fulfillment. You have to set an intention, but you have to walk this walk. So if you set goals, set value-driven goals. Align your short-term and your long-term goals with your values. Make sure those actions align with your values to ensure they guide your actions. You can make better decisions, more conscious decisions. Before you make a decision, you ask yourself, do they align with my core values? If they do, fantastic. If they don't, why not? What needs to change? Then change your thoughts, change your actions to align with your values. It's often helpful to create a value statement. And I have done this. I have affirmations, and we'll discuss that another time. But I have a set of values. I also have values up on my wall that I can look at. I have values I used to have on my phone. They were part of my affirmations for the day, and I would go through, and these are the values that I ascribe by. And so they would just remind me, and I would go through my day, and I could then make sure that my actions were aligning with my values. I had to determine what those values were, and I had to create a hierarchy. You can also, look at your environment. Surround yourself with people who support your values, especially in the beginning stages. Now, once you get firmly entrenched and you have that solid intention and strong intention to live by your values, then as you walk out into the world and into the environment, you won't really be touched by those things. But it's important, and you need to reflect. This is a process. This is a journey. So take time. Review your actions and decisions to ensure they remain aligned with your values. All right, so you want to incorporate your values into your daily life. And that just simply requires reflection. It requires a commitment, a strong commitment, and to also consistent practice. You want to live according to your values, so you can lead a more authentic life, a more meaningful life. Okay, very, very important. And here's the thing, we're in these times of a lot of political turmoil, and I see this wholesale bigotry on either side. Doesn't make any difference. Wholesale prejudice. If you think one way, or you identify with this political party, well then, you must be evil. No, they're not. It doesn't matter which side. You learn to kind of give a little more grace. You begin to see, okay, they're not aligning with values, but what's my value? Is kindness a value? Okay. Is truthfulness a value? Then am I spreading lies? Am I checking all the little memes, or am I just passing them along because they appeal to my snarkiness and my attitude of that day? So you want to look at those things. Align your actions with your values. You'll make yourself more peaceful. You'll make yourself more joyful. You'll make yourself happier, and you'll create a better world. So very important. So once again, here's some exercises. Take a values inventory. Create a list. Write down all the values that resonate with you. use that list. There's all kinds of lists out there you can make your own. Prioritize those values. Create a hierarchy. It's crucial that you understand this, and it's crucial that you do this. It's also crucial you understand those values may shift and change, but you should have a good idea about what values you're going to operate in business, what values you're going to operate in at home. Think about different scenarios. How am I going to apply my values? If you find yourself saying, I'm going to get rid of this value, well, look at it. I'm not going to employ this value. I want to be mean to this person. Why? Does it really align with your values? Is there a better way of communicating what you want and what you want to communicate if it's still aligned with your values? There is a way. Do it. It's harder. You don't have the sudden instant gratification of just telling somebody what you think. However, if you're looking to create change, instead of just vomiting on somebody, if you're going to vomit, keep it to yourself. But if you're looking to create change, you've got to be that change. You've got to live by your values. That's what we do. A good way of doing this is reflective journaling, and I've been a big fan of journaling for years. So you can make daily reflections, weekly reflections, or I just write things out. As I mentioned before, you can go find role models, go look for people, find teachers, find people who are modeling the kind of values that you wish to look, and then find out how they think, how they do, how do those values work out in their life, and then use that. Okay. There's different things, you can create hypothetical situations in your mind to kind of role play out what that would look like. You can, if you have people that you can trust, you can ask them, here are my values. Give them a list. Do you see that I uphold these values? Most people are going to say yes, sure. A few of your good friends that are also on the path of self-realization and self-development will be more honest with you, but it's still good. Find quiet time, meditate, practice mindfulness. For some people, they find a personal mission statement helps. I think creating and writing down a vision of who you are, whether it's through an affirmation, excuse me, or it's just writing down how you see yourself is important. And at first, it's uncomfortable, but later, excuse me, it will prove to be highly beneficial to really sit down and write a description of your personality, of how you interact day to day. So, clarify your values. It takes time. It takes reflection. I hope you gave an insight, so do it. So this is a path that will give you greater clarity and greater peace by living by your values, learning what your values are, and then living by your values. So I hope you find this helpful. I do want to do a little bit of a plug. We do meditation. Not meditation, Qigong classes. Saturday morning for free. It's on Google Meet. You have to send me an email to lifeandlivingnow@gmail asking to be on the list, and we'll send you the link on Fridays. And then this Qigong is 9 on Central, which makes that 10 Eastern. Figure it out on Pacific and West. We hope you can join us. But thank you for taking the time to listen to this. Always welcome comments or feedback. You can obviously found us on the YouTube channel, Life and Living Now. That's great. If you'd like to support us, spread the word. Thank you, and have a great day. Bye-bye.